President Biden has arrived in Northern Ireland to commemorate the 25-year anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. That agreement ended a decade, if not more, of conflict in the region. The president laid out his plans for the trip as he departed Joint Base Andrews Tuesday morning.
What's your top priority on this trip, sir?
Make sure the Irish Accords and the Windsor Agreement stay in place. Keep the peace. That's the main thing. And it looks like we're going to keep your fingers crossed.
The president will be traveling in Ireland through Friday the 14th. Senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now from Belfast. So, Ed, what is the president doing tomorrow in Northern Ireland?
Major, good to be with you. He's only spending about 20 hours here in Northern Ireland, arriving tonight, greeting the British Prime Minister on the tarmac before preparing for a speech tomorrow at a university here in Belfast, where he's set to reiterate U.S. support for the Good Friday Agreement and encourage political leaders in this country, province, region, depending on what you want to call it, to continue working together to sustain that peace and to build the economy of an area that is desperate for more international investment. It's been struggling amid the troubles of Brexit and determining exactly how it's supposed to continue functioning while living next door to an EU country, Ireland, but also amid an uptick in violence. For about a year now, leaders in this country have been unable to put together a government amid various disputes dating back to the Troubles, the conflict between the Catholics and Protestants, but also rooted in the changes made during Brexit. So he's essentially here to provide a bit of encouragement, a bit of a nudge, and sort of the world community's support to say, look, we know what happened here 25 years ago. It was a huge deal when it happened. Please keep going with that. And if you do, U.S. investment in this region will continue, something the United Kingdom, leaders here in Northern Ireland desperately want to hear.
For those of us who remember that Good Friday Agreement took months and months and months to negotiate. It was incredibly hard diplomatic work. And I imagine the president will say hard work then should be thought about in the context now, hard work required now to sustain that durable peace. Then the president travels to Ireland. What can we expect on that part of this journey?
Yeah, if Wednesday is really the big policy moment or the real meat of this visit, as he said, you know, his big goal is to reinforce and support peace in this part of the island, in essence. The rest of this trip is, to some extent, a sort of a personal journey to maybe reintroduce to the country and to the world the fact that he is one of the most Irish-American presidents we've ever had. About 23 of them can claim Irish heritage. He's 5/8 Irish, and he's going to stop in the two parts of Ireland where his family hails from. County Louth, which is a small county between Northern Ireland and Dublin, and then County Mayo later in the week on Friday to visit a part of the country where his paternal great-great-grandparents hailed from. It's actually a cathedral there built with bricks that had been constructed by one of his great-great-grandfather's companies. So there's some real symbolism here and great excitement across the country. They like when American presidents visit. We talked to Ireland's ambassador to the United States about all of this last week to get a sense of how this country is preparing, what it means to have him visit. Take a listen to what she told us.
This is an extraordinarily important moment for the people of Ireland to see any US president visit, and half of your 46 US presidents have claimed Irish heritage. But to see a man like President Biden visit, who has, I think, the spirit and such a deep attachment to his Irish heritage, come to Ireland at an important moment for us. This is the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement. It's a poetic moment celebrating, in many ways, peace on the island of Ireland. But that President Biden comes at this time says to me, certainly, that accompaniment, the hand-holding that the United States has given to Ireland in good times and in bad, particularly on the peace process, which I usually say belongs to the people of Northern Ireland, made in America. That moment, absolutely critical. So seeing him in Belfast, seeing him in Dublin, across the island of Ireland, is really, I would say, a joyful moment for us.
And we know there are a handful of relatives on both sides of his family still in the country. For lack of a better way of describing it, are they notorious? Have they become better known in recent years?
Well, they're celebrities. Anyone who is linked to the President of the United States, of course, becomes a local celebrity. But they're very respectful and dignified in the way they do that. You know, as in past history, when other presidents have visited, we saw most recently President Obama, President Clinton. I began my career in the early 80s when President Reagan came to Ireland. He found his family members. We have them dotted around the island. Here in the United States, 31 million Americans associate their ancestry with Ireland. So we have a lot of people related to other people. The moment in the sun for the Bidens and the Finnegans and the Blewitts is certainly upcoming, and we're very proud of that link.
We should make clear, Major, it's relatives who are like fourth cousins, fifth cousins once removed. These aren't ones that necessarily are on the Christmas card list or that he's in touch with all the time. But these are fourth and fifth cousins he's seen a few times. This is his third visit. His last official one in 2016. He came as a private citizen in 2017. This one expected to be quite large. We expect to see big crowds greet him when he visits these tiny Irish villages later in the week.
Ed O'Keefe, in your political travels and in mine, we've encountered politicians who find Irish ancestry, whether it's legit or not. In the president's case, it's very legit. And before I let you go, just names to remember from 25 years ago: Bill Clinton, Jerry Adams, George Mitchell, and Tony Blair. Ed O'Keefe, thanks so very much.
Take care.